jump in height for the front end of your 2014 or newer four-wheel drive Ram 2500, excluding the Power Wagon models. This 2-inch front leveling kit with front shock extensions will be a super affordable way to do it. Now, this simple kit here will be a great option for the Ram owner who is looking to level out of the front end of their truck, whether it's for the better appearance, the increase of some ground clearance, to finally fit a 35-inch tire comfortably, or all of the above. Now, it's also a great pick if you know that you're not going to be upgrading your shocks right away with this kit or at all, and want to maintain all of the shock travel that you can get thanks to the addition of the extensions, making for a simple but mindful kit for day-to-day and light to moderate off-road driving. Leveling kits, this one specifically, will bring your truck multiple different features. First and foremost, this kit is going to make a big improvement in the appearance of the front end, raising it up 2 inches to even out the truck stance and get rid of that very noticeable factory rake, which will make the truck look a bit more aggressive. Now, to help with that aggressive look, you will be able to fit up to a 35-inch tire inside the wheel well very comfortably without having to make any modifications, and that won't just make the Ram look good, but also more capable. Now, the spacer will also bring some capability to your truck with the increase in ground clearance, which will allow you to avoid any potential damage to the front end, scale obstacles easier, and just make for an easier experience if you're taking your truck off-road, whether it's light or moderate off-roading, like the trail to your favorite hunting spot, a fire trail, or even just on the work site. Now, look at the benefits of the height increase. The featured shock extensions will also raise that mounting point to an accommodated height, so instead of having to upgrade your shocks, you can keep the factory-like ride quality and maintain the proper shock travel without fear of maxing them out. Now, this kit is going to be, again, very simple with 2 spacers for the top of the coil and 2 spacers for that shock to relocate the mounting point. Now, all of this is going to be made of a steel construction with a powder coat on top to protect it from weathering or rusting over time. The spacers will also be true to height at 2 inches, and the kit will come with all the hardware needed for a straightforward installation. Now, this is going to come in at about $175, which is a very affordable price point for the benefits that you're getting here. Now, comparing this to other choices in the category, this is going to be pretty much the bare bones of what you need to get a little height and maintain a very close ride to the factory quality because of those shock extensions. Now, it's also going to be pretty mild in lift height if you do want to keep it to a more minimal 2-inch mark and get the benefits of a level without going overboard, changing out suspension components, or having to level the back as well, making this a great and very easy kit to consider. Install here will be a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and I definitely recommend some mechanical experience for this job. And with that, the right tools and setup, it should only take about 3 hours or so to complete this. Now, at this point, we can head over to our shop. I'll pass you over to one of our installers who are going to show you a detailed breakdown of the process of how you install this, whether you are installing this on your Ram at home or you're just curious about the install. So that is going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and jump into that install.
For this install, you will need various impacts, a ratchet, various length extensions, an adapter if necessary, a swivel adapter, 8, 13, 21, and 22 millimeter sockets, a 16 millimeter swivel socket, 17 and 22 millimeter wrenches, a pry bar, and also not shown here is a jack and jack stands. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a leveling kit on our Ram, so let's get started. Alright guys, so we've got the truck in the air, well the front of it rather, and the wheels off. Now, one thing you want to note, if you're doing this at home, you don't want to put your jack stands on the lower control arms. You want to put them back on the frame rail so that your suspension can go to full droop. That's what we need. So we also have some floor jacks underneath our axle. Now, you can do this with one, just a little bit easier for balance if you have 2, but one will do just fine. So now that we've got that set up, first thing we're going to do is remove our fender liner. Now, this isn't 100% necessary, but it does give you easier access to everything you need to do up top. So we'll do that now with an 8mm socket on our impact. Now, because our fender liner has been off and on numerous times over the years, we have had some hardware go off on another journey for us, but we're going to remove the ones we have. You should have 8mm bolts, screws rather, all through here. We're just going to pop these off. Got a few on the back side. Also going to remove your mud guard as well. Once you have all of your hardware off, pop our fender liner out. We just kind of want to pull down and bend it in just a little, like so. And get that out of the way. Now that we've got that off, the first thing we want to do is remove our nut for our sway bar end link at the lower mounting point. So we've got a 21 mil socket and swivel adapter with an extension on our impact. We're gonna run this off. And once you pop that loose, you can just push your end link back and out of the way. And you can throw that nut right back onto your stud. Now next, we don't need to remove the shock entirely. We just need to remove the lower mounting bolt. So we've got a 21 mil socket on our impact, and this has a flag nut on the back. So we'll run this off. You can pull that out. Next, we can remove the two 13 millimeter bolts holding our brake line in position. So we've got a 13 mil socket. We'll get this one off first. Pop that out of its position. And there is another one on top of our control arm mount. You can move your shock out of the way for that. That'll free up your brake line. Now once you've reached this point, you want to do all these same steps on the other side, and then we can lower down our front axle and get our springs out. Now we're going to lower down our floor jack. That's going to relieve the tension on our spring. I'm going to do this very slow. Once you've got it lowered down enough, we can pull our spring. And that's okay if your isolator falls. Then you can do the same thing for the other side. So now we can begin installing our kit. So we're going to take one of our shorter provided bolts and send that through the hole that's in the top of our spring perch, just like so. We drop this bolt through this hole. And that is the hole where our original isolator has its locator pin. So we're going to loosely install a flat washer and lock nut, just like so. Then we're going to grab our longer bolt and our nut plate, as well as our spacer. So we're going to send that bolt through the bottom of our spacer with a lock washer and flat washer. We're going to get this lined up with the open-ended bolt holes. Send that through there. We'll get our nut plate onto our bolt. That should hold it in place loosely like so. Now once we have our spacer in place, we'll grab a 16 mil swivel socket and hold that top nut plate and get this pretty much centered. Line this up on our bolt. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to get onto. Before we fully tighten that, we'll come in and tighten down this outer one. So now to tighten this one down, we'll again grab that 16 mil swivel socket on a ratchet. We'll use a 17 millimeter open end wrench to hold the nut. And once you have that tight, we'll come back and fully tighten down this center one. Now we can install our factory isolator. So we've got a hole for our original locator. Pop that in. Sometimes they'll want to hang like that, that's fine. And we may need to lower our front differential down a little bit more to allow room for the spring, so we'll do that now. Give that a little bit of room to flex. Now we'll get our spring in place. And this might be a little bit tricky to get this in. Should be able to push down on the front diff. Try it from the other way. Get this worked in. Last little bit is going to be a little bit tough. We'll grab our pry bar and give us some extra leverage. Once that pops through, I'll adjust that to where this top coil is going to line up with the seat on the factory isolator. Now once we have our spring in place like this, we'll go ahead and install our shock extender, and then we'll get everything raised back up. So we've got our extender with our bolt, washer, and lock nut. So we're going to need to turn our bottom shock mount 90 degrees. And we'll get our extender lined up. We're going to put our bolt through from the back side. Then we'll install our lock nut. Now we're going to leave this loose and we'll start jacking it back up so we can get everything to line up, and then we'll tighten everything down. Now we're going to reuse our factory bottom shock mount bolt, so we'll get that through. You have to work that through the backside as well. Now once you get that through, move your brake line out of the way, reinstall that factory flag nut. We'll get that started. I know this is tough to see, but it'll go right on when it catches. We're going to bring back our 21mm socket on our impact and tighten this one down first. Now we can tighten down our extender bolt with our 22mm socket ratchet and 22mm wrench. Now once we have this on, we can reattach our brake line. Get our control arm mount on first. Now there is a little slot for the bracket. It's kind of hard to see. We'll get our other 13mm bolt back in. And we can tighten those back down with our 13mm socket on our impact. Now we can get our sway bar end link back into place. You may need to push down on that a bit to get it to line up. Swing this back. Get our nut back on. We'll bring back our 21mm socket and swivel. Tighten this down. Now we can reinstall our fender liner. So get this up into position. Remember that tucks back over the spring perch. We'll have to get our mounting points back behind our fender. And once we have that in place, we'll reinstall our hardware and our mud guard. We'll get our mud guard back into place. Reinstall our 8mm screws. Might be a little bit tricky to line up at first. Get that first one in. And we'll grab our 8mm socket on our impact. Get the rest in. Again, we are missing some of our hardware. Doing this at home, you want to reinstall all of yours. Now once you've completed this process for this side, you can repeat the same steps for the other side. Well folks, that's going to wrap up our review and install of our 2-inch front leveling kit with front shock extensions for your 14 and newer 4-wheel drive Ram 2500, excluding the Power Wagon. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.